Welcome back everyone. Again, let's get back to the practicing C language programs. Like you are familiar with this tool, it is referred as dev C++, one of the C language compiler. See the first line, I have started mentioning these two backslashes. That means whatever I write after that, it will be considered as a comment. So normally the purpose of that is to write down the definition of the program, which you can see is write a C program that reads two numbers and prints the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division and modulo results. So basically we want to perform this operation, and that's why as a heading problem definition, the ideal word is problem definition, we had to mention that in the first line using a comment. Like right after that we have to mention, like we do always, we'll start with hash include stdio.h. It is nothing but our standard header file just for the revision purpose. And this particular header file, it is consisting of two particular library functions. One of them is printf to print the values to the user, and another one is scanf to get the values from the user. So right after including a header file, we'll get started with integer main, which is going to be the starting of the execution for C language programs. Okay, then opening and closing of the curly brackets are nothing but the block of codes. Like we are supposed to get two numbers from the users, two values from the user. That means to store these values, we have to take two variables. And let's assume these values are being of decimal nature. So for the decimal values, we mention integer. They are nothing but the full numbers, the whole number. So integer A, the first value, B, the second value, and the result will be like C. Of course, we can mention enough variables here. So right after the declaration of the variable, we have to get the values from the user. So we'll mention printf to indicate the user that they are supposed to enter the values. Enter first value. That's what message should be given to the user, right? So right after that, using the scanf, don't miss percentage %d for the integer. And when we are getting the value from the user, we always use ampersand. This operator will take the value from the keyboard and it will store the value exactly into the specific variable. So we got the first value entered from the keyboard and it is being stored into A. Now it's time to get the second value from the user. So let's get that done also. Enter the second value. Okay. Of course, we have to enter statement with a semicolon. Scanf again, and just like the previous case, percentage %d, because we are still dealing with the decimal value, integer value. This time ampersand %b to get a value from the user and store it directly into b. Now we have two values from the user. One value, the first value stored into a, and the second value is being stored into b. So now we can perform this operation. So first operation, it is the addition. So we can mention, or I was thinking about mentioning a few more variables and storing, and the printing all the results all together. So in order to do that, we have to take multiple results. For example, let's say add, let's say sub, let's say multiply, let's say division, and let's say multiplication. So we have these many variables, and to store the results into them, the first one is add. So add will do one thing, a plus b. The addition of these two variables will be stored into add. Then the turn of sub. It is nothing but a minus b. Now understand that if the second value is larger than the first value, the answer will be negative value, or in case if both the values are negative, you can apply the mathematical rules here. The third one, multiply, is equal to a into, that means star, b, that will be for the multiplication. Division will be standing with a, divided by b, that's how we mention it. And finally multiply, mul, equals to a modulo, that is nothing but the percentage operator in our case. Fine. So whatever is remainder, whatever the remainder will get, it will be printed as a multiplication. Sorry, modulo. A mistake. Let me mention modulo here in OD. Otherwise, by the way, we cannot declare two variables with the same name. It will simply simply create the confusion. So that's why we have to make that correction. So mod equals to A modulo B. It will give us the remainder between them. So quotient will be given to us by A divided by B, and the remainder will be given to us by A modulo B. Now it is time to print all of them. So when we are at the printing part, how many values we are printing? 5. So let's percentage B for the first value, slash T. We'll leave some blank space. Then second value, again percentage D, again slash T, percentage D, slash T, percentage D, again slash T, D, and slash T. How many so far? 1, 4, and 5. Now, whatever the order we mentioned here, the values will be printed exactly in the same order. So for example, if I'm mentioning add, so first value will be printed will be from add variable, that will be nothing but the addition. The second value will be sub, third one mul, then bid followed by mod. Now all the values have been printed and we are done with the program. That's how the whole program should be written. Now it's time to compile the program, execute the program, but before we do that, it will ask us to store the program. So we have to store the program. That means maths, simply mentioning the name as a math. Okay, so see, we are given the error. What kind of error is that? Now there is a spelling mistake here because unfortunately I have missed F from this statement. So once we do that, we have to save the program first and then again compile it for the errors. Okay, fine. We are back to no errors, no warnings. That means we are good to go. So it's time to execute the program and apply the run. Enter the first value. That means I'm supposed to enter the very first value from the keyboard. Let's assume that it be 10. Now it's time to enter the second value from the keyboard. Let's be 5. And you have all the answers. The first one is addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and followed by modulo. There is nothing but the remainder. Alright, and let's get back to the program. That's it.